Now, what Sean Hannity loves to do is to blame the economic downturn and the collapse of the financial system on the poor. Now, I'm not kidding. He literally does. He thinks it's the poor and the middle class that were given homes that they should never been given by the government because of breaks and incentives, et cetera, and that the rich had nothing to do with it. That seems an unbelievable stance, but it's true. But so when Michael Moore went on his program, he challenged him on it, and it was great just because this is probably the first time the Fox News viewers have ever seen this, and it might open up their eyes a little bit. So that's why I like that Moore went on Hannity's program. So let's watch the first part of this, clip number 14.
The subprime mortgage crisis was caused by the Community Investment Act, first enacted by Jimmy Carter. Now, here's the point on the Community Investment Act. They forced banks, they forced financial institutions by law to lower their standards where people could get mortgages for homes that they could not afford, Michael, and people took the banks up on it. They took the money, they bought homes. So my question to you is, if you buy a home and you can't pay it back, who should pay the bill?
Well, first of all, let me just correct what you said. If you believe that's the cause of it,
absolutely the cause
during the Carter administration, why didn't the crash happen back in 1978?
No, because he started it. It got doubled down in the Clinton years. The Republicans are on tape.
What happened during those 12 Reagan-Bush years?
I'm explaining it to you.
Okay.
The Republicans have been warning, including the Bush years. Warning. I have videotape.
They created the deregulation. They got rid of the rules.
No, that's not the problem.
They got rid of the rules, and Clinton followed up and continued to get rid of more rules. And then when Bush II came in, he really smoked them. He got rid of everything so that the banks and the financial institutions could get away with murder. And you know that's the truth.
It's the first time Fox News guys have probably ever heard that, viewers. And they're like, wait a minute. If what Hannity is saying is true and it was Carter's fault, he's right. Why did it crash 30 years later? And he's like, did you notice what little thing that Hannity did there? It's like, it was Carter and then Clinton. Ignoring the 12 years between Carter and Clinton, where it still didn't crash, right? And then the 8 years after Clinton didn't crash, and then it crashes. Carter. I mean, it's a joke, right? And when anyone questions him on it, it's obvious what a joke it is. Now, in the next clip, they're going to go a little bit more into depth. Hannity's going to try to blame the poor a little bit more, and I think Moore is going to fight back very effectively. Let's go to clip number 15.
You do support law enforcement, right? I mean,
Is this a trick question?
No, I'm assuming, right? Of course. So the FBI, good guys, right? FBI?
Most of them, yeah.
Most of them?
There are some bad eggs occasionally.
Yeah, but as an institution.
As an institution, sure.
Okay. Well, they've said that this mortgage crisis, this mortgage fraud that's been perpetrated, has not been because of the subprime borrowers, the people that are poor or working class. It's been caused by the banks. This is their statistic now, Sean. 80% of the mortgage fraud has been caused by the banks and the lending institutions. 80%.
Everybody got greedy. I'm not going to disagree.
Everybody. Wait a minute. 80%.
But the government. But no. 80%. I don't necessarily know where the FBI got into the business of figuring out.
They have a whole white-collar fraud unit, which Bush W. Depleted that unit and moved them out of white-collar crime.
But you're not answering my question.
During the worst white-collar crime that was going on,
is there no responsibility at all from the borrower if they buy a house that they can't afford? Who do you want to pay for the house that they decided to buy? They signed their name. Who should pay for that house if they can't afford it instead of evicting them?
First of all, a lot of them were swindled and they were lied to. These contracts with the balloon payments. If I brought one of these in here right now, you couldn't even find.
Do you sign a contract without reading it?
I think a lot of us do.
I don't.
You don't?
No, I read it.
You have a mortgage?
I have read every page.
Oh, you read the 50 pages.
I'm a loser.
No, I'm impressed. I mean, have you read your health care contract with Fox?
That I didn't care about. But I have to.
Because you're not going to get sick? You better read it, buddy. No, because when you get sick, there's a clause in there somewhere where they might not sign for you.
If you sign a movie contract, do you read your movie contract?
Yes, I read the movie contract.
I have a contract for radio and TV. I've read every page of it.
Yeah.
So my point is, I do feel sorry for them, Michael. I really do. And if you wanted to start
something... You feel sorry for the people that have been swindled?
No, I feel sorry for people that... In some cases, perhaps there's some truth to it, but they also have a responsibility. Think about this. If you put your name on the dotted line in a legal document, don't you bear responsibility?
These people have been deceived and they've been exploited. You know, this is like
no responsibility at all for them.
No, this is like asking a woman how short was your skirt. after she's been raped. It's like that's not no, but you wouldn't blame the victim for that. Why were you walking on that side of town?
So they shouldn't. If there were balloon payments, they shouldn't have read it. They shouldn't have hired a lawyer to read it for them.
A poor person?
You're not that poor if you're buying a house, Michael.
You don't understand what's going on here.
I was poor in my life. I lived in apartments. I couldn't even afford to pay my rent, and I would paint the apartments for my landlord.
Sean, there have always been people who have lived beyond their means. We all know who they are. There's probably one in every one of our families or friends or neighbors or whatever.
So if they lose their house.
But they've never caused a crash of this proportion before. Mm-hmm. That's because they can't. They don't have the assets and the money to be able to cause the crash that was caused by the people downtown here who were moving money around, taking bets out on money, derivatives, credit default swaps, insurance on the bet, then a bet on the insurance. That's why we ended up in this situation here.
Not. I disagree.
You don't.
No.
Everyone acknowledges that. That's how we got here.
No, not everyone. When the government dictated.
Who are you talking to? People who apparently think that, why didn't the poor people just hire a lawyer to read the contract? Now, look, he's assuming that if you buy a house that you're well-to-do, but that's not the fair assumption at all. I remember we bought a house in New Jersey once for $10,000. You think everybody's carrying around a lawyer with them? But please do read this contract with me. To see if there's a ballooning payment in it. Sean, that's not how the real world works. And have you ever signed a contract you didn't read? Hell yes. All the time. Now, for important contracts, of course you read them carefully, right? But leases, etc. Oh, no, you should read every word. I know. Okay. You read every single thing your credit card company sends you, all the little fine print, all the little... Come on, man, who's reading all that stuff? And more busted them on it anyway. But anyway, look, it's all cute little things that Sean Hannity keeps getting caught on. But the main issue is, as he's arguing, no, it's those people's fault. Moore comes in with undeniable facts. He says, look, the FBI determined that 80% of it was because of the people doing the financial wheeling and dealing, right? And I love Hannity. He's like, what business is it of the FBI's? Only about half their business. Yeah, they have an enormous white-collar crime unit. Of course it's the FBI's business. And that's got to be one of the first times that the Fox News audience was exposed to facts. And I wonder, coming out of it, if they scratched their head and said, I wonder if Hannity's right to blame only the poor. Or if Moore has a point that maybe it was those bankers who did it. And if he caused that question for the first time in the Fox News viewer's head, then he's done a real service.